Hello and welcome to nocritsg, the internet and the UK's newest podcast dedicated to Dungeons and Dragons and all things tabletop gaming related. My name is Ben. This is my good friend Joe.
Hi there.
And we're going to take you through our opinions and views on the game that we've come to love.
But definitely come to love, and it's one of those games, that I can't believe it really. Because if I'm just going to jump straight in. In here, mate.
Go for it. There's no filler here.
There's no
crits given.
I'm just going to jump straight in, and this was one of those games that I think back to me being at secondary school, and I've always been a bit of a geek, if we will. I've enjoyed this sort of stuff for a long, long time, and if you were the kind of guy, video games were acceptable at school. That was like the acceptable medium of geek. But if you were the guy that pulled out his trading card game, whether it be Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, your Pokemon cards that you still collected, or you turned around and said, "Yo, I run a D&D group and it's really fun." That was almost like you'd gone off the edge a little bit there.
See, I think we were talking about it earlier. It's a bit weird because I was definitely the guy bullying the lad of the group that did D&D, and now I'm here 16 years later, taking over everything I do.
I know I did. I think the furthest I went or felt I could go at school was Warhammer. And even that was. It's not too dissimilar with the miniature side of things, and that was almost stepping over to the precipice a little bit too much for people to deem acceptable. But D&D's always been one of those things that I've wanted to get into, and like you said, it's so all-encompassing, isn't it? You just get to do whatever you want. You can take whatever you want, any ideas you've got in your head, whether it's...
Yeah, I think in our short-term playing, we'll get onto a little bit about us and what we do and what we're hoping to do. But in our very short time playing the game, we've had campaigns that Wizards have written, we've had campaigns that we've written, we've had sci-fi stuff, we've had off-the-cuff stuff with a pirate theme campaign. Somebody's got one of the lads has got a Witcher theme campaign in the works. So it's like I can't remember another game. Let's not forget it's a game. There's rules and there's
100%.
I can't think of another game where you can charge so much money for having zero input, because it's all in here. It's all us that do it. It's all the DM, the players. We're lucky enough that our main DM that we play with, because you might not have picked up on this, but we're playing the same group. He really likes the whole homebrewy flavour side of it. So in terms of our backstories and how we're casting spells, how we're attacking people, that's entirely up to us. I have heard stories of DMs that are very, oh no, I'll tell it. But again, that's just a different way of doing it, a different method of doing it. And like we said before, everyone can do it differently. Yeah,
and the accessibility aspect of it, like you said, all you really need is someone who's willing to DM. Someone who's got a relatively good grasp of the rules and sort of knows how they want to run a campaign, whether it's their own or one from a book. Someone that's confident in themselves to run it and look after the group. Yeah. And all the rest of the group need is ideally, a pen, a pencil,
and a rough idea of a character,
some paper, a rough idea of a character, and a willingness to engage with it. That's it.
See, some of the lads that we've sat down to play with, you'd have never thought. A year ago, when we first started talking about it, one of our mates would be there putting on a voice as a dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
Or a lad we met on the first night, we did a session 0, and one of the lads said, can my brother come? And we went, yeah, of course he can, more the merrier. And I looked at him and I thought, I'm not sure how this is going to go. And then 3 sessions in, he's doing voices and acting stuff out with the rest of it. And
he sat down meticulously for what must have been a good 30 to 40 minutes, really divulging into what spells he wanted to take because he'd leveled up, and really thinking about the kind of character he wanted to make. And
but not like on a metagame level. Just how would this character work? What would this character do? Yeah. If there's we haven't been playing very long, but I've already seen evidence of people that have. One of the stumbling blocks for me personally, is what I'm going to say, is that getting into the mindset of it's not me. It's not the spells I want, it's not how I want to play it, it's how the character works, how my stats dictate I could be, you can be however you want, but you start to dictate how successful that's going to be. So if you're playing a swashbuckling rogue that can't find his ship,
it's almost like someone's playing a swashbuckling rogue at the moment that can't find their ship.
Fans of our TikTok will know that I play a swashbuckling rogue that can't find a ship. We'll fucking find that ship. But yeah, that's how our take on D&D. How, in terms of how we came to get into playing it now, like I know you said you always wanted to through for years. But how did you finally go, right, I'm going to pick the pen and paper up and let's play some D&D?
I almost feel like it would be too cliche to refer to a very popular television series at the moment that I almost feel like has given a very much new lease of life to, or not even a lease of life to D&D, but maybe reintroduced it in a really accessible way. And I'm not quite sure if over the years that, you know, as every series has come out, it's slowly niggled away at me a little bit more, you know, this want to join in with it.
Yeah.
And all it took was, I think, me, you, and a couple of the boys going, you know what, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And it took us some time to find a DM because none of us had ever played. It was
No,
like,
no.
we all sort of went, well, our DM, and then when we sat down to do it, we were like, well, we haven't got a clue. So luckily, a friend of a friend who was actually a good friend of ours now, he said, look, I'll take you through a first campaign, and it went from there. I think you'll know more than the people at home that I'm a massive Magic the Gathering player, to the point where it's kind of my job. But from that, Magic the Gathering being so intrinsically linked with D&D, it started out life as the card game of D&D.
Yeah.
And then, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, with all the tie-in sets and the books for D&D that cross over into Magic, it was in lockdown where I was flicking through TikTok and some clips kept coming up of a certain YouTube series, and then I was like, right, I'm going to name drop them. Let's watch some Dimension 20 and see what it's all about. Now watched every single episode they've put out. I watch daily, wait weekly for the new stuff to come out. Absolute massive fan. And after about, I'd say 20 minutes of the first episode of Fantasy High, I was on the phone to anyone I could think of going, I need to play some D&D. I need to write. I've always written, it sounds weird to say I've always written characters. I've always had this pipe dream of writing a novel.
Yeah.
So I've always had characters that fit into this world I've created. And then when somebody went, oh, come on then, right, yeah, we've got a DM, we all need to think of a character. All of a sudden, switch went off in the back of my head, man, I've got this. I've got a good 35 characters I can pick from here.
I think it's not even very similar to you. I completely appreciate that train of thought, where I think maybe we've watched a series or a film or played a game or something like that, and we've sat back and we've gone, oh, you know, I'd love to write my own version of this character, or interpret my own character that I could insert into this story.
Yeah.
And this gives you a medium to do that. You know, you can fall back on the knowledge of, you know, something like Magic the Gathering and go, you know, this was my favourite set and I really think this would make a cool character. I'm going to take this card and morph it into something that actually exists.
You're not playing Nico Bolas.
I'm not saying I want to play Nico Bolas, but it would be nuts.
It would be. You know, even then, suddenly a switch went off in my head and went, campaign when we all play as dragons.
Yeah, 100%.
Watch out for that.
All the dragons from the 2019 set?
Yeah.
Where it was all the legendary dragon cards.
Yeah. Oh, I could talk for hours about them cards.
That was a good set.
I could talk for hours about them cards. Some really good dragons in there. And a lot of them have appeared in Dungeons and Dragons, just to bring it back.
No, they have definitely. I know I've seen things pop up. I'm pretty sure Tiamat makes an appearance somewhere.
Tiamat came out. This is a D&D podcast, we promise. Tiamat came out as part of the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it does as well if you want. If it comes into play, you can go and find five named dragons of your choice coming into your hand. It's really fucking powerful.
But it's even taking something like that. So I know, for example, Tiamat's probably a bad example because it is from the same universe as D&D and it's all written like that. But to be able to even look at something, we'll take the Tiamat card for an example, and you go, right, this is how it works within its own game. Excuse me, as a DM, it would be really cool because you could look at things like that and go, I wonder if I can make this work in a campaign.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just apply to Magic the Gathering. I know, like I say, it's probably a bad example because of how closely linked it all is. But, you know, even if you, I don't know, let's pick a video game series. We spoke about The Witcher earlier. You take a character from The Witcher, And you go, right, that's how it works in universe. Let me try and morph that now into a D&D aspect. And you've got this whole new take on a character that just works really well.
The homebrewing side of D&D is one of the big aspects that made me go, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Whether it is stuff that the guys at Dimension 20 or Critical Role, or apologies if I've not named your channel, but there's so many brilliant channels out there. But you watch some of the stuff and you go, that's a pretty decent shield. And then actually it's been homebrewed.
Yeah.
It's not just, we can all make a very powerful shield, but the way it's crafted, the homebrew element of this game of D&D is fantastic.
It is, and it will continue to... Just roll with it. You've got to roll with it now. You've got to stick with it. Start it out. Start it out. He's lost the hat. The hat's gone. That's it.
It is so hot in the studio right now. You do not believe how hot it is. It's about 35 degrees outside, and we thought, let's shut the patio doors.
35 degrees as well. It's very high for us Brits.
Yeah. We can't deal with that at all.
I think once it goes over about, 20,
yeah,
it's a health
Somebody
issue.
starts moaning at 20, don't they? Yeah. So the fact that we're talking about it now says everything you need to know.
No, exactly. Typical British talk.
Yeah. So what we are is...
I was about to say, we should probably talk about the channel and the plans and how they started. But let's go.
We've got time.
Let's
We've got
go.
plenty of time. So what we are, as I said at the start, my name's Ben. This is my good friend Joe. We are the founding members of this awesome channel that we like to call No Crits Given. Our plans are many and varied. But what we thought we'd do is start by sitting down once a week, having a chat with each other and with you guys at home, and any guests that we might get involved to get involved, whether that's in person or on our lovely screen. Then we can get people in to talk about different aspects of the game. We're going to take a few minutes every week to talk about different aspects of the game that we like, whether that be tips on how we think how to play, stories from our games, or our favourite monsters, picking monsters at random and talking about them. But we're also going to move into some more live gameplay elements if people want to see it. Talk about our campaigns a lot, our experiences, and see what we can come up with and see what we end up making.
Well, I think it's going to morph into something quite, I don't know, this might be me shooting myself in the foot and scoring an own goal with it.
Yeah.
I think there's some space here, this morph into something really, really nice.
Yeah.
And this, to anyone that follows either of us on TikTok, whether that's the Zero Critters handle or me at Mando Crits, the funny thing is, the TikTok side of it sort of started off as a bit of a,
let's joke.
Let's have a bit of a silly laugh. Let's make some funny D&D content. And I don't know, I found it quite humbling, because if someone said to me, look, you're going to get 50 views on a video and 10 likes, I would have thought...
Larry. Yeah, that's the dream.
That's it. I would have been quite made. And to think that I've got some... across both channels, we've got some videos now with thousands of views, with lots of likes, people in comment threads having discussions and sharing their opinions about their characters, their stories that they've been on, requesting videos. It's really, really nice and humbling. It just makes you feel nice. So
I think jumping back to the start when we were talking about aspects of the game that we love, the community, the community aspect. Like, we've always, in the town that we live in, all of the No Crits Given guys are quite lucky in that we live quite close to each other, so we get games regularly. But already there's groups that we're in and we're a part of on social media where people are looking for games, and all of a sudden you get 4 or 5 recommendations. We've got a game here, they've got a game there. So it was a very easy thing to get into, because like you said earlier, the accessibility, and not only just we've got a bit of imagination, but the people willing to learn and teach, and it was incredible. It was quite good.
There was such a nice community out there, and I think it's nice to be part of it. Yeah. It's nice to think we're sat here talking about something we really enjoy, but equally there's plenty of people as well that really enjoy it. And I don't know, there's something really nice about that. Yeah. Because there's not many, I would say, hobbies or interests where you get that.
It's one of the first hobbies or games that I've played that isn't competitive. There's no winning and losing. Like I've said earlier on, Magic Gathering a big part, but there's always... in Magic we call it saltiness. We always call it that that saltiness of the want to win. Whereas with D&D, there is no winning. You might complete a campaign, you might carry it on. There's that guy that's famously he's had his campaign going for 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years I do believe, yeah.
We need to speak to him, we need to get him on the phone.
Get him on the old.
Get him
on Zoom.
Well, teams him in. Other video calling software is available. But yeah, so we wanted to. That's. I was going to say that's it. It's not really it, but that's what we wanted to take this first episode to explain who we are, what we do, why we play it, what our plans are. We'd love to hear if any requests from you guys, whether you've got questions you want us to answer, opinions on things, specific videos of stuff you'd like to see. YouTube is going to be our main home.
Yes, I think that's going to be the idea now, isn't it? Slowly progress back over. We've not even started, but slowly progress over to YouTube, build things up from there, and like I say, the content side of it is just going to be whatever people want. Whether it's like you say, it might be. If I think we've spitballed quite a few things over the past few weeks, and this is the sort of the culmination so far of us spitballing things and getting together and going, you know what, let's do this. Let's get it out there and let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And things alongside that, it's amazing. You have one train of thought and then all of a sudden there's 10 ideas that come for it. So we're going, look, if anybody wants, we've got a Monster Monday. You know, let's get the Monster manual out. Let's flick through it and find stop at a random page and talk about a monster.
We want to do character builds. Not character builds that you can take word for word and use, because obviously there's people out there that know a lot more about this hobby than we do. We just... and Not even character builds that are going to be the meta and be amazing, but stuff that we think is going to be interesting and funny and stuff. Maybe even some parodies of popular culture characters. What does it take to make Geralt of Rivia? Well, this is how you make Geralt of Rivia in Dungeons and Dragons. So these all sort of... But rather than throwing a load of content out there and seeing what you guys want to see, we thought we'd just ask.
I think it's easy, isn't it, to... you know, get yourself in that mindset, and it could have been easy for us, and that was the first starting block where we went, you know what, let's start a campaign, we've got a campaign going, let's bang some cameras and some mics on, and let's throw that out there. And we sort of had to look at each other and take probably about 10 steps backwards to make 2 steps forward. You know, we have to go, look, we're trying to run before we can walk here.
Yeah.
Let's bring it all down to a nice level.
I think we want to make the best content that we can, at as good a quality as we can. We've said the word studio twice tonight. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out we're not sat in a posh studio. But what we thought was, if we could put a load of mics on and put some cameras on and play D&D and whack that out there, I don't think that would be the product that we want to put out there. I don't think that would be the product that maybe you guys would want to see. If we're going to do something like that, we want to do it properly, and to get there, we would start here. We're not the most knowledgeable guys, but I don't think we're going to pretend to be.
Not going to profess to be the font of all D&D knowledge, far from it.
But hopefully people will want to come and talk to us, and we can share our experiences as we go.
Do you know what I think might be a nice little round off? We've spoke a little bit about the campaigns we've got going and what we're doing and things like that, and how we've come to get here. So what I think might be nice is if let's give a bit of background. Let's talk about the characters we've got going at the moment.
I can talk about Bran all day.
Let's go. It's quite funny, really, because the campaign we've got going at the moment has kind of morphed and progressed. We are doing I Spy a Peak. That's the main campaign. However, our DM is lovely, and he has homebrewed aspects. He's slowly progressing character stories in his own way that fits around Ice Spire. And, you know, I think our characters at the moment, more than others, have formed quite a nice bond.
Yeah.
Which sort of caught me out of the blue.
Team Brandy.
Team Brandy. It makes sense, but we're going to explain it. But it caught me out of the blue. No, because we played a couple of sessions, and everyone's character, although we were a party, no one seemed to sort of mesh. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it came personally for me. That came from, like we alluded to earlier, our group on session 0. Some of us had never met each other.
Yeah.
One of the lads, I'm not going to name drop people just for the because it'd be horrible to drop them into it. But Thanatar, that was the first night. The lad that plays Thanatar is really good mates by all of us now, especially us. But he'd not met anyone.
Yeah.
Before session 0. And in fact, I think, am I right in thinking that you couldn't make session 0?
Yeah, I missed session 0.
So even at the first time of session 1, when we're starting off, here we go, some of the lads had never met each other. So it's to go from, hi, my name is, to full roleplay, it took us some time. We're still not perfect at it now. Like us as well, we're not great at it. We're not Maybe I think it's fair to say not very comfortable with it, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
I think we're trying to get it, and from that came this. We sort of spoke and thought, right, it's going to take one of us or two of us to kick-start the role playing. So without going, right, well, we'll do it then. It was more of a, yeah, we want to do it then. We started doing this a bit more role play aspects to the game, and thus came.
I think it's brought other people out of their shell as well. I think, like you say, we as a group really, as players, hadn't. There was a couple of us that hadn't played.
Yeah.
I think there was only two of us from the group that had done any D&D before. And I think when we sort of took that almost, leap of faith into, look, we're going to do some voices, we're going to give our characters a bit of personality, it then made other people in the group go, I want my character to have a voice. Yeah. I want my character
I know I spoke about earlier about it not being competitive, but everybody wants their character to be the cool one.
Yeah,
everybody wants to be the protagonist, so to speak. Some of us definitely are.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about your character. Let's talk about Bran.
My character is a pirate in want of more words. Bran Morrow. He is now level 5 swashbuckling rogue. He is a Heragon, so he's a rabbit that is the source of many a joke between our team. He was once he is a feared pirate captain. But he kind of can't remember where he left his ship. And the rest of the party don't seem to think there is one.
Well, apparently there is a ship. But no one's seen any evidence of a ship.
There's a ship. There's definitely a ship. So, a bit of backstory. It's been ages since I thought about his backstory. He was the quartermaster of the ship. A ship called the Cunning Fox. Who was feared in this area of the sea, around the Sword Coast, off the coast of like Neverwinter and that sort of thing. Lived and died for his captain. Would swore left children, left wives, left all on the word of his captain. Until the day he was betrayed by him, and it discovered that his captain was working for the local sort of constabulary, so to speak, and the reason that they'd never been caught, the reason that they'd always managed to evade it, is because the captain was on the books. Bran didn't take very kindly to that, disposed of said captain, took the reins himself, sailed the Cunning Foss, up until the point where he forgot where he put it. But the crew are out there looking for him. I think it's probably fair to say that the crew kept to the code and sort of left him behind. Maybe.
The crew's still on the ship?
The crew is definitely still on the ship, yeah. There is a full... Well, they might be. They were when I left it. Right? When Bran got off that ship...
There was a crew?
There was a crew on it. Very loyal crew as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but as to whether they're on it now...
I must admit, I am looking forward to where eventually this will be.
Yeah. So the good thing about it is this: like our DM, who, like we said, he's the most experienced player of the group.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't. To be fair, he prefers playing. He's kindly offered to DM. We've sort of left the development of our backstories to him. So whether Bran ever finds the ship again, whether the crew ever find him, maybe there's a new captain. Who knows? Tune in next week.
That's definitely a plot that I want to look at. Yeah.
Well, I won't keep wanting to say his name. Our DM assures me that there is
I'm very much looking forward to that.
But speaking of interesting backstories,
oh no,
tell us all about D.
So D. So I might pretense before I start explaining that our campaign that we run is very relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Rule of cool.
Rule of cool, almost, yeah. And that has maybe influenced my character in a way that I wasn't quite sure of. So D started off as a reborn paladin. That was my vision for D. He could only remember one letter of his name. And this was because before he was reborn, he had been killed during a battle. Mm-hmm. Throughout this battle, he'd been inflicted with a plague that had eaten away at his body and his corpse and his mind. And as he was reborn, there was no recollection of who he was. He gets these flashes of paladin justice and things that are right, and these odd memories scattered, but it's not there. Mm-hmm. Which is really good. But somehow throughout the campaign, my reborn paladin
I don't know how this has happened.
slowly became this rotting corpse. He wasn't planned to be undead. Reborn was what I was going for. But
he
the
is
rotting
now-
corpse has worked.
He is a corpse to the point where we stayed in a tavern overnight, and the next day the tavern owner got no business whatsoever because there was a corpse eating breakfast.
Yeah, so I had remained in the downstairs of the tavern in the bar area, which had reduced his clientele to nothing.
To nothing. Luckily, we paid him handsomely for his time.
We did. And yeah, so my character was morphed into something that I didn't quite plan. However, it works, and it is really
It's
good.
the joy of the game.
It is, 100%.
It is the joy of the game. You would get other people going, well, actually, that isn't... No, but we roll with it. There is an on-running joke about Bran seems to have made up a ship, but we go with it.
And it is fantastic. It's
Our group is a proper bunch of ragtag heroes.
Oh, yeah. Just the camaraderie is fantastic.
It's good.
It's really, really good.
It's good. It's hopefully... Even the people we've met along the way, just to let you know as well, currently, we're not that far into it. We've got... I don't know how long we've got left, but we've met some people along the way.
Met some very interesting characters along the way. Some, I do believe, have even been off-the-cuff sort of encounters as well, and that's been really nice.
It's really good. But again, it goes and it gets testament to our DM, to the art of DMing, in that I think I mentioned Dimension 20 earlier, and I think a lot of us sort of watch Dimension 20, or we watch Critical Role, and we watch Brennan Lee Mulligan, or we watch Matt Mercer, and we think that is what a DM should be. And I think we'd all love to play with a Brennan or a Matt. I'm a Brennan guy, but Matt's amazing as well. But it doesn't have to be that. And that's the beauty of what we do, is that somebody that can be like that and do the voices and improvise the things and be funny and write a backstory and everything and write a complex storyline, that's incredible. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that. It can just be as simple as a guy that can describe something very well and has the ability to off the cuff go, here's a bloke named Don John. He's a dickhead.
Well, I didn't realise it was that kind of show.
Bran doesn't get on with Don John. But yeah, that's us.
That's us, and I think it's probably only fair, maybe since you opened, that I round off. So we really do hope we haven't made too much of a fools of ourselves, and we've given a bit of a grasp of maybe the things that are to come. We have got, as we mentioned, some wide, varied, interesting ideas. It's putting them in motion in a way that's going to work. We just need to make sure that we're not running before we can walk, really. But keep your eyes peeled. We'd love some feedback from this. Anything that's maybe worked, not worked, anything you'd like to see in the future. Keep us posted with all of your ideas, because it is genuinely really helpful. And I've got nothing more to say than thank you for tuning in for the first episode of No Crits Given. I have been Joe, that has been Ben. Have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and look after yourselves.